Hi, I'm Heather Robertson from heatherrobertsonart.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little Easter bunny using polymer clay. To make your Easter bunny, you will need one standard block of white polymer clay. I'm using Sculpt Primo, and I've cut this into 12 equal portions. A little bit of pink polymer clay, a little bit of green, and a little bit of orange. You'll also need 2 glass seed beads for the eyes, or you could use black polymer clay for this, a couple of cocktail sticks or toothpicks, some optional oven baked clay adhesive. This does help if your clay is a little on the dry side, it will help your pieces stick together, and a needle tool, or you could use a toothpick. So get all your supplies together and let's start making our bunny. Start off by mixing 1 block of your white with a little bit of pink to achieve a nice pale pink colour. This will be used for the nose, the neck ruff, the paw pads and the insides of the ears. Once that's mixed together, make sure that you've got a block that's just a little bit bigger than the initial block that you had, and put that to one side. Then for the bunny's body, you'll need a cocktail stick, and we'll need 3 blocks of the white, and condition those together. Roll the conditioned clay into a ball, and then roll it into a bit of a pear shape or an egg shape. This will form the body of your bunny. And I've got a little bit of pink clay on my hands there, but I'm not worried about this. We're just having fun here. Now I'm pressing this down against my surface so that the bunny is going to look up at me slightly. So this will be the bunny's belly. Nice pear shape there. And I'm going to place my cocktail stick right down the middle. So if you've got the cocktail sticks that have a flat end and a pointy end, start off by putting the pointy end in first, and then take it out and then put the flat end in. Now I think this is going to be a bit big, so I'm just going to break some of my toothpick off so it's a bit shorter. Yeah. So you've got enough there for the neck ruff and the head. And then we're going to take the pink and we're going to create the bunny's neck ruff. And for this we're going to need just half of this portion of pink, so I'm going to slice that in 2 and keep the rest for later. And for this, roll this into a ball and then make a tear shape or teardrop shape or a pear shape. So again, if you use the center of your hands, this will make a ball. And then if you use this part of your hand here, you'll be able to roll this into a bit of like a carrot shape like that. So use your hands. Your hands are the best tools that you have. Use your hands to roughly and gently gently roll that into a teardrop shape. And then I'm using my thumb and finger to flatten this shape out. It's very, very gentle pressure, and I'm slowly coaxing this into shape. And then I want this to sit on the neck like that, sit on his body like that. So I'm just using my thumb to bend the ruff of the neck over my thumb like this, and then that will sit on the body. It's going to give that a bit of a teardrop shape down the front. And then using a needle tool or a toothpick, let's just give this some gentle shaping. Now this can be done before or after you place this on the neck. So I'm going to place a hole through there, gently press this down. Be careful not to squash the body down too much, you still want to have some height there. There we go. So that's the ruff of the neck done. Now we can move on to making the head of your bunny. So for this you'll need to take 2 blocks of clay, two blocks of the white, and you'll need to condition this and roll this into a ball. And we're going to place this on top of the toothpick again. So just double check that the toothpick's not too long. If it's too long, and you can see over here the toothpick's going to stick out the top, just give the toothpick a slight rotation, just give it a gentle nudge, and just break a little bit more of your toothpick off and place that back inside. This is just to help support all the pieces that you're adding onto your bunny. And as I'm rolling, I'm pressing and gently, I'm kind of pressing with my thumb and forefinger of each hand and coaxing it gently into fine-tuning the ball. Because when you roll it in your hands, it's very easy to just get an egg shape or a teardrop shape. Using your thumb and forefinger like this, you can gently coax it into a more refined shape. Then, as you're pushing it on, twist and rotate the clay onto the body. This will help it glide onto the toothpick more easily without it pulling too much. There we go. And then you're left with the head, the ruff, and the body. Now we're going to start looking at his nose and his mouth. So this is where you take one more block of clay, and we're going to divide this now into a quarter. So let's cut this piece into 4. And we're only going to use a quarter of that for the nose and the mouth. And we need to divide this now into 3 balls, one of them being smaller than the other 2. So the best way I find for this, roll it into a bit of a snake and then divide this in half, cut this in half and into quarters, and then take one of those quarters and divide that in half again. Let's just get that in half nicely. And add that to the top 2. So you want two balls that are the same size and one that is slightly smaller. And this will form the nose and the mouth of your bunny. I'll place the bottom one down first. Let's see. Place the bottom one there, and then that one there, and that one there. And then gently press into place with your thumb. Don't press it down too hard, you don't want to flatten them too much, but you do want them to adhere nicely to your bunny's face. And if you want to, you could also take your toothpick and create a little bit of a mouth there as well, just by putting the toothpick inside. Let's just make sure that that's standing up nicely. Then for the nose, take just a tiny little bit of pink. Now there's no specific measure for this. It depends on how big or small you want the nose of your character to be. So roll this into a ball. I'm using the palm of my hand and my fingertip to roll that into a ball. And then I'm rolling with the side of my finger to create a bit of a teardrop. Then once that's done, rest that teardrop on your fingertip and press this down, kind of squeeze this with your thumb and your fingers to create that bit of nose, that little nose triangle, diamond, triangle pyramid shape for the nose. And then press this gently on top of the 2 balls that you put for the nose. And then we can add a couple of dots for where the whiskers would be. I'm just using a toothpick for this. You could use your needle tool for this. And we also need to plan where we're going to place the eyes. So I like to place them not too close together. I'm using the edge of my mouth here to see where I want these eyes to be. So I want one there and one there. I'm going to draw a little line, well, not draw a line, but I'm pressing a line into my clay with my toothpick. So if you want your bunny to have closed eyes, you can do it this way, or you can get your little seed beads or balls of black polymer clay, and I'm using my toothpick as a guide just to help press that, put that in place, and then I'm using my thumb to press these in because I don't want the tool to slip and gouge my clay. I do turn my sculpture upside down from time to time, if you so that my more dominant hand is in control. If I do this left-handed, I don't always. I'm not always as dexterous, I guess, with my left hand. So just press that in place. There we go. And our bunny is coming to life quite quickly now. Now he's still quite top heavy, so he will keep falling over, and we're going to correct this in a bit with his feet and his tail. But you can also keep gently correcting this when you place it down on your surface. Just gently press and shape his body the way you want it to be, and this will help hold him in shape. There we go. And then we can move on to creating his feet and his arms next. So for this, for the feet, we're going to need 2 blocks of clay, 1 for each foot. And again, I've already conditioned these, so here they are. And I'm just going to re-warm these up again. And we'll also need a little bit of the pink. So how much pink you use is entirely up to you. There's no exact measurement for this, but the feet will equal about 1 block of each. So I've conditioned that white clay. Now I want you to roll this into a ball and into a loose egg or teardrop shape, roughly the same size. And then, like we did with the ruff of the neck, press down with your forefinger and your thumb to create a flat teardrop. Do this gently, and do these kind of any adjustments you do a little bit on one and then do a little bit on the other, just so that you can keep those 2 feet roughly the same size. I'm also pressing down this way to maintain the shape on the feet so that they don't become too wide. And this way you can decide how big or small you want the feet to be, or how long or short you want the feet to be. It's just tiny little tweaks, and my clay is not getting too soft because I'm not handling it too much. And then we're going to take a little bit of the pink clay. Again, this will depend, the amount you use is entirely up to you, but it does help if they are equal. So again, I like to roll a bit of a snake or sausage of clay and see roughly where the middle is. Cut that in half so they're roughly the same size. And again, I'm going to roll a teardrop shape, and I'm going to flatten this. So create a ball and then a teardrop, and flatten this with using your fingertips. So we don't have any specialist tools here. You could use cookie cutters if you have a particular shape. If you want these to be perfect, you could use a cookie cutter, or roll out a sheet of clay and cut the shape that you want out, with a knife. But I kind of like the free-form sculpting. I don't like being too precise with this because it keeps it more organic. Just create some toes for his feet. So with my needle tool, I'm just going to create 3 toes. And again, this is just going to be, I'm going to rock my needle tool at the fat end of my flat teardrop. and then just soften those edges with my fingers. There we go. And then place the pink clay into the feet, onto each foot. So this is where, before you stick it down completely and press it down, you can play around with the shape a little bit. And then really press that in. There we go. And note that I'm also kind of curving the feet around a little bit. And I'm using my thumb for this. So it's just gentle movements. And the big toe, I'm kind of doing it at that kind of angle, at a 45-degree angle, in opposite directions. So this foot is kind of curving in this way, and this foot's curving in that way. And then we can just test the position on our little bunny. Let's just see if we, yeah, I kind of like that. Now, if you want to, you could use a little bit of oven baked clay adhesive. You don't need much for this. It's a tiniest smearing. And this is just so that the clay sticks to itself and adheres to itself just that little bit better. So now the feet aren't flat on the body. I've got them curved slightly, and this will create a bit of a pyramid or tripod effect. So as you can see, you've got point 1, 2, and 3 there, and this will create a bit of stability for your sculpture on your surface. So press that in nicely. His feet are curved in, and I think that looks all right. And now we can move on to the arms of our arms of our bunny. For the arms, you will need to roll half a square of white for each arm. So we're going to take one block of white, cut that in half, and I've got 2 pieces I've conditioned already, and we're going to roll these into some sausage shapes again, or very long teardrops. So let's move our bunny out the way so I don't knock him over. Roll that into a ball and roll it into a sausage. So roll it into a ball and roll it into a sausage, and then one end, so it's going to be a thinner version of the feet, and you want them to be roughly the same size. I'm pinching one end so that the one end is slightly pointier than the other, but I'm also flattening the arm. There we go. And I'm checking that they're roughly the same size each time I do this. And I'm squaring off the fatter end using my fingertips. Now, if you find that these arms are a little on the small side, you can add some more clay, but I find, generally speaking, that's a nice size to be working with. And like we did for the feet, take your needle tool and just rock the needle tool to create pores. And then let's decide where we want these arms to go. So again, you could use a little bit of oven baked clay adhesive or liquid clay. Now, I'm not using the bottle to put the liquid clay onto my sculpture. I'm using a little bit on my fingertips. That way it's not going to slide, your clay is not going to slide off. It just becomes tacky and sticky. So decide where you want the arms to go. I'm going to press this arm over here, and I think I'm going to have him holding his foot. So I want to make sure that's pressed in nicely there. And this arm, I think we'll have him holding a carrot or something in a little while. So I'm going to have this one coming around the front. Maybe I'll have them both coming around the front like this, and then he can be supporting his carrot in a little bit. And I'm not pressing too hard into the side of the body because I want that definition. We're not blending the edges into each other. So don't press these too hard because we still want to reposition his arms when we add the carrots in a little bit, or when we add a carrot or an Easter egg in a little bit. For the tail, you're just going to need about 1/4 of a block of clay, so another one of these quarters. Just condition that and roll this into a ball, and then a teardrop shape, and the pointy end is going to go kind of underneath his bottom. So the fat end of the teardrop, the big end of the teardrop, is going to be the top of his tail. And again, you can use a little bit of clay adhesive on here if you want to. And then press that gently to his bottom. So he's starting to look like a little bit of an Easter bunny now. And so we're going to need another 1 square each for the ear. But if you have it as 1 square each, the ears are going to be really big, about the same size as the feet. So consider how much clay you want. So typically I prefer using less than 1 block for each ear, but this is entirely up to you. It depends on how big you want the ears to be. So this is 1 block each, and you can see if I just flatten this down, you'll see how big this ear is going to be. Now that's quite a big ear on that bunny, and that might be too big, but this might be nice if you're doing kind of a floppy eared bunny. Then you might want to have some nice big ears. So I think I'm probably going to use half a block for both, half a block for each ear. Roll this into a ball, and I need to cut that in half so that they're roughly the same size. So now we have 2 equal portions. We're also going to need a little bit of the pink clay, again like we did for the feet. This will be the inside of the ears. So roll a ball and then roll a teardrop shape, a long teardrop shape. So it's basically similar to the arms. And using your fingers, press and flatten this down into a bit of an ear shape. Don't make them too thin because they still need to have some structure to them if you want them to be sticking up. And we are going to embed a toothpick into these ears as well. Okay, so I think I'm roughly happy with the shape and the size of those ears. You can just test them against your bunny as well. And I think that's a nice size. He looks a bit surprised at the moment, so he won't be looking that surprised. And take a little bit of your pink. Probably got a bit too much here, so let's take some of that off. Roll that into a snake, cut that in half. So again, you're equal proportions on each side. And then roll out a snake. Flatten this. I don't want it to be too thin. And again, it's quite an organic process, so there's no, you make these as long or as short as you want, or as wide or as thin as you want, but I'm just roughly placing this into the center of the ears. And then I can press and guide this down with my fingers. Press. Got a nice flat elongated teardrop there, and again press that into the center of the ear, and then press that flat with your fingers. Just be careful not to make your ears too thin. Right, I think I'm happy with that. And are they roughly the same size? Okay, that one's a bit longer, so actually just stretch this one out, make it roughly the same size. I'm happy with that. So then we're going to take another toothpick and we're going to add this into our Easter Bunny's head. So break your toothpick in half, like that, and this will form the support structure for your ears. And if they're a bit long, just break them a little bit shorter. We don't need too much. It's just to give it a little bit of structure so that the ears don't snap. Add a little bit of liquid clay to the top of his head, and then I'm going to put some guide holes in here first by twisting my needle tool or your toothpick into the head. Don't go too far in. Don't go straight down either. Go at a slight angle so that when you place the toothpicks inside, it's not going to distort your Easter Bunny too much. And I'm going to place the flat end into those holes. And I'm twisting as I'm pressing the toothpick into the clay. He's looking a bit like a cat or an alien at the moment with those little spikes sticking out of his head. And I'm going to do the same thing with his ears. I'm going to gently press and twist my needle tool into the center of each ear so that you have a bit of a guide hole for your toothpick. And then gently twist and guide this on to your Easter Bunny. I'm going to have his ears a little bit this ear a little bit floppy. So just be careful that the tip of the toothpick doesn't poke out the top of the ear there. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Gently make a little guide hole in the ear. A little bit of clay adhesive. Gently twist that on. Press that in place. If you want to shape the ears a little bit, you can. Just don't press too much because you don't want that toothpick to come out the side of the ear. And there you have your cute little Easter Bunny. But he still needs a prop. So let's make him a little carrot. And this is where you need a little bit of orange and a little bit of green. So I'm going to take my ball of orange and roll this into a carrot shape. That's what it is. Roll this into a bit of a carrot shape, twisting and pulling with your fingers and gently pressing this into the desired shape that you want it to be. And then using your needle tool or your toothpick, just add those groove lines into the side of your carrot, and that will give it the little carrot texture that it needs. And then let's add some leaves to this as well. So take a little bit of green. I'm going to make a little bit of a cone shape here. They're not going to be proper leaves, this is just an indication of leaves. So I made a bit of a teardrop there, and let's make a bit of a hole in the top of our carrot. So I'm doing that with the back of my toothpick here. So we've got that hole in the carrot, and why don't we just press the green clay into there, make a bit of a wiggly shape. That can be the carrot leaves. Yeah, kind of, that will do. And let's have him holding this carrot. Let's have him hugging the carrot. There we go. And there we have our little bunny holding a carrot. Just pop this in the oven. If you want to, just put a tent of foil on top just to protect those ears from browning too much. And follow the instructions on your clay packaging for the temperature and the length of time to bake your piece. Just bake this in the oven And there you have your little Easter Bunny sculpture. Now, I do have the instructions on my website to download as a PDF, and I will pop this into the link into the comments below. So please pop over to my website and download the instructions, which will give step-by-step picture instructions as well as word instructions. Hope you've enjoyed this little video, and I will be putting more videos up on my YouTube channel going forward. Hope to see you soon. Bye.